Hello, welcome back to the store. How did the brushes work out that you bought last time? Good, I'm glad you like them. They're some of my favorite brushes too. So I understood that today you were interested in actually having a lesson on face painting. Okay, good. We can definitely do that. What we'll do is briefly go over the paints. I think you've seen before, so we won't spend much time on that. And then we'll get on to some techniques for painting on skin. Okay? Okay, good. Yeah. Okay, so first of all, we're going to use the same brushes just like you bought to paint with, since that's what you're used to. So we'll use these large ones here for getting in large swaths of color. And then we'll come in and I'll show you how to use a medium-sized brush. And then finally we'll come in with a small detail brush and finish up. Okay? Like that. Very good. Okay. Let's move those out of the way then. And set up the paints here. Again, pretty basic colors. Blue, black, yellow, green, white, and red. What I'm going to do for this lesson is start with white and put down just a base layer of white. And then while that's drying, we'll do some other things, and we'll come back and paint on top of the white so you can see the difference between the colors on just the skin and colors painted on white. Okay? Good. Okay. Now let's move these out of the way. And we'll start here with the white. And I'll be painting here on my arm, since it's a little easier to do it that way, and it's easier for me to see what I'm doing than trying to paint my own face. That would be a mess. So since this brush is a little big for this, I'm going to pour out some paint here, right in this area, and then use that. Kind of use this paper as a palette, even though I'll only be using one color. Okay, that should be enough to get us started. Now we just want to get the brush pretty well covered in the paint. And you don't want to be afraid of getting it on too heavy, because this needs to be a nice thick coat of white. And go several different directions. Make sure you don't have a lot of streaks or any empty spaces. And you want to be careful that you catch any drips so that they won't run or get in your customer's eyes or something like that. So just kind of be aware that when you put it on thick, you may have some parts that want to run. But other than that, you're just gently stroking the skin with the brush like that. Until you have nice solid coverage. See? So we're going to let that dry, and then we'll paint some things on top of it. First of all, we need to wash out this brush. Okay. You want to make sure you vigorously swirl your brush around, especially the larger brushes, to make sure you get all the paint that's in between the bristles out, like that. Move this out of the way. And you want to dry off your brush. Like that. Okay. If you do that, that'll at least hold the brush and keep it wet until you can really go through later and really clean it. But you want to make sure you at least get it wet and most of the paint out. And then once your painting session is over, you can finish up with the cleaning. Okay. Okay, now, so we're going to let this dry. And while we're doing that, I'm going to show you some different brush techniques here on this part of my arm. Okay? I think we'll use green for this. And some yellow. And we'll start out by using this size brush here. And we'll see how this works. It's kind of weird painting on your own arm, so it won't look exactly like it will on the face because the contours are different. But the idea is the same. Okay. So let's just start out with a gentle shape like that. And don't worry about getting it on too thick, or, I mean, there is a point, but it's better to get it on a little thick than thin. And most of the time, when you're doing face painting, it's like outdoors, so it's going to dry pretty quickly, so you don't need to worry about that. But here I'm using the wide part of the brush to create the shape which could be hills or something I think we're going to do. Flower is pretty popular for face painting, so we'll paint a flower up here. Oops. Got myself early. Get rid of that there. Okay. So now for the stem of the flower, we're going to use the side of the brush, the thin side. We'll just come up like that. Okay? And you want to make sure that when you're painting, that you paint your lines as curves, even if it's just a little bit of a curve, because it'll give your paintings a more dynamic look and a more realistic look as well. So don't paint all just straight lines. Even if it's supposed to be a straight line, give it just a little bit of a curve, and that'll help give some real dynamic quality to your paintings. So now we'll do some leaves, and I'm going to start with the thick side and rotate the brush as I go. Like that. And you can start with the thin side here and go down. Okay? Then go this way. You see that? You have a little leaf there. And you can go this way. So we have the thick part at the bottom and a thin part at the top. Just like that. See? Let me leave a little space there. That gives a nice little visual interest to it. Okay. Well, now we've used our green, so we need to wash out this brush. Lots of brush washing. Okay. Again, just enough to keep the brush wet. You can go back and do a more thorough job later. Okay. I forgot to seal up my white. That's not good. So make sure you seal your paints up, or they won't last long. Okay. So now we can work on the flower part here. A little on the brush. For this technique, we're going to use just a little bit and kind of sketch out, and then we can fill in later. So, just enough to kind of get an idea. Of what we want to do with it. Something like that. Then once we have our shape, we can go back in and fill in these empty spaces. Just like that. And it's a basic shape, but you get the idea. Nothing extravagant. So I'm going to let this dry, and then we'll move on and do some shapes on here. Okay, so this is dry a little bit, and this is dry as well. So now we're going to work on painting something on this white square here. And I think what we'll do is use red and blue. And we'll do like a patriotic theme here. That's usually popular, so we'll just do some red, white, and blue. So, the first technique, I'm going to show you. We'll use our thinnest brush here. We're going to paint, we want the white star to show through the blue. So we're going to paint, just like we did with the flower, an outline, and then we'll fill it in. Okay? Make sure you can see that. Is that good? Good. Okay. I hope you're learning. It's often hard to teach this. It's like tying a tie. It's hard to teach somebody to tie a tie because you're looking at it from a completely different angle. Okay. So just a little bit of paint on the brush. Not much at all. Okay. Not perfect by any means. But you get the idea. And what you want to make sure that you avoid is dipping back and forth a lot, especially with this white, because you can contaminate your paints. So for the next step, I usually just go ahead and get a lot on the brush. Just kind of dab it around first. And then start filling in. All those little areas right there. Just like that. This paint is cold. Okay. So there you have kind of a mutated star. See if we can fill this. It's a little large down there. So you can go back and make some corrections to your shapes if you want. Okay. So now we'll do a nice little red stripe thingy here. For that, we'll use a little bit larger brush. Make sure we close our paints up. That's always important. Okay. Now, for this, we want to use the width of the brush for the width of the stripe. So, nothing super complicated here. mostly just making sure you don't have any drips. You don't get the paint on too thick. And these paints cover really, really well. So it doesn't take a whole lot of coats at all to cover. See? They're nice and bright. I really like these paints. They work really well. So that's pretty much it. You can see that these paints are made for painting on the skin. And with this set of brushes, it works really, really well. And see, I can, now that this is dry, I can touch and rub and smoosh that skin, and it stays pretty much in place for quite a while. So your customers will be very happy with it, and it won't be coming off right away. So there you have it. Does this help you? Good, good. I'm glad. Thank you for coming by. If you have any other questions about our paints or our brushes, or want some more lessons, just let us know, and we'll be more than happy to help you with that. Okay? Thank you. See you later.